An F4 tornado had ripped through parts of Alabama and Georgia, destroying several homes and injuring many people in its way. One of those affected was Hastings native Mellisa Brooks. NTV's Danielle Shenk sat down with Brooks, who now lives in Tennessee, to hear about her story. Danielle.
A piece of sheet metal from Mellisa Brooks' home had pierced her foot, cutting the main artery in her leg.
Blood donation saved my life. I mean, if I wouldn't have had the blood donations that people gave, I would have died.
A little over 10 years ago, the tornado had hit Melissa's home in the valley.
It was very traumatic. I was awake through it all. I never got knocked out or anything, but I don't remember everything.
It was the suspected skirting on her trailer home that had cut the top of her foot and sliced the bottom, severing the main artery.
I bled out for about an hour until they found me. It was they put it as a medical mystery how I even lived to make it to the hospital, because technically, by all means, I bled to death.
She says she was in a state of shock, not even realizing she had been hurt at the time.
I got up and tried to walk, and I kept falling over. I shattered my kneecap trying to walk.
Mellisa then says she crawled over to her neighbor's porch to get help.
He's the one that actually saved my life in some ways, because he took his shirt and he ripped it up and he made a tourniquet out of it to help slow the bleeding down a little bit.
Her neighbor then attempted to get help from those headed to the church.
He'd run to the road and yell, hey, I need some help. And then he'd run back to me and he'd hit me a couple times and be like, hey, you're not dying on me today. And then he'd run back out there again.
Mellisa says they eventually got someone's attention and she was carried to the town square where the ambulance could get her.
I got so lucky, and they told me I did too, because I have type O negative, and I guess it's harder to come by, especially in a disaster. So they're like, you got really lucky that, we just happened to have just enough on hand to fix you.
She received 4 or 5 blood transfusions that day. Because of the grace of her neighbor and those that donated, Mellisa is alive today.
Never give up on yourself. I mean, even when the odds are against you, they wanted to cut off my whole leg and I didn't let them. And then they told me I'd never walk again with the leg that I have. And it took me a few months, but I got there.
She encourages those that are able to donate, because blood isn't something they can create or give to someone right on the spot.
It has to come from another being. And if you think about it, it's one of the biggest gifts you could ever give somebody, because you can't get it anywhere else.